What is going on? She's just deleted her Twitter. She's getting called out because it was exposed, because an interview got
Caitlin Clark's spotlight put her flaws on full display, sending the Indiana Fever president into full crisis mode. The reaction has been explosive, and the criticism is escalating with every passing hour.
I'm not joking when I say this. Something's gone weirdly wrong. Like, we hired a freaking Chronically Online.
But wait, this goes far beyond one press conference or a viral clip. The real story runs much deeper. There's a bigger picture unfolding behind the scenes, and I've gathered every piece of information to lay it all out.
I have said before, and I will say it again, Stephanie White, Amber Cox, Kelly Crosscroft, the Indiana Fever president, they were not ready. Now, Christine Brennan in her book confirmed. The WNBA and the Indiana Fever did not realize what they were about to get themselves into with drafting Caitlin Clark, because the popularity they weren't prepared for and didn't see.
Caitlin Clark supporters are speaking out loudly after the Indiana Fever front office created a storm of criticism. Seemingly out of nowhere, the team president made a comment that rubbed fans the wrong way, aimed at the very rookie who has been lifting the franchise into the national spotlight. Clark is the reason crowds are selling out arenas, TV numbers are skyrocketing, and the WNBA is drawing unprecedented attention. So when Kelly Krauskopf tried to compare the Fever to Apple, fans immediately noticed how odd the analogy was. The remark came across as if Clark were being reduced to a side accessory instead of the driving force behind the team's success. Anyone who has watched the Fever this year knows the truth. Caitlin is the engine, the spotlight, and the momentum. Instead of celebrating that, leadership appeared more invested in downplaying her influence. Fans didn't let that slide. Social media lit up instantly, calling the comments disrespectful, unnecessary, and completely out of touch with reality. Then came the twist. Krauskopf's account suddenly vanished overnight, no statement, no follow-up, no attempt to clarify what she meant. It looked like a retreat, a hope that disappearing would cool things down. But the backlash is already cemented. Fever fans pay attention, and they don't forget moments like this.
Yes, Stephanie White, every single solitary move that you make is going to be scrutinized. Welcome to it.
You always know someone is under real pressure when their social media disappears in the middle of a public backlash. That's exactly what happened with Indiana Fever president Kelly Krauskopf after her now infamous Apple analogy spread across the internet, and definitely not in the flattering way she hoped. The moment the clip gained traction, Caitlin Clark's supporters swarmed online, calling out Krauskopf for using an awkward corporate comparison that seemed to belittle the very player who has carried the Fever back into relevancy. Fans immediately recognized what the comment implied. Instead of acknowledging Clark as the centerpiece of the franchise's resurgence, Krauskopf's words made it seem like Clark was just another interchangeable product on the shelf. By Friday evening, her entire account had vanished. No clarification, no apology, no damage control. These aren't casual viewers. These are loyal followers who sat through losing seasons, bought merchandise, and supported the team long before it became a national draw. To them, it felt like the front office was fumbling the greatest opportunity the franchise has had in decades. What made the situation worse was the timing. For weeks, supporters had been demanding accountability as Clark endured rough officiating, constant physical play, and inconsistent protection on the court. Instead of defending their star, the organization stayed quiet, only for their president to resurface with a comment that minimized Clark's importance. So when Krauskopf suddenly vanished from social media, it only reinforced fans' suspicions. The front office wasn't prepared for the spotlight Clark brought, and now they were running from the consequences. The situation has escalated from simple PR missteps to a full-blown trust crisis. And just when things couldn't look messier, Sophie Cunningham stepped into the chaos next. Stay tuned. This controversy is far from over.
I was a ref. I know I would mess up all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that your job is easy, but when it is a simple call right in front of your face multiple times, what are you doing?
In San Francisco tomorrow, you're on the Las Vegas Strip. What can the Las Vegas expect from Sophie?
Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna be me. I don't go in there trying to predetermine anything. I'm dialed in. I need to focus on hitting my shots, making sure I'm executing the schemes right. I'm not focused on the extracurricular activities. And you know what? During that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team player, so.
Sophie Cunningham has officially positioned herself as Caitlin Clark's on-court enforcer, the player who makes it clear that if you come after Clark, you'll have to answer to her. And this week, she lit the entire league on fire. On the debut episode of her podcast, Show Me Something, Sophie unleashed a rant so raw it felt like it belonged in a scripted drama. She didn't hold back, not on rival players, not on critics, and definitely not on anyone who dismissed Clark's impact on the WNBA. At one point, she repeated 3 separate times that people minimizing Clark were flat-out clueless. That clip exploded across TikTok, YouTube, and X within hours, instantly turning into a viral catchphrase. And Sophie knew exactly the reaction she would spark. This is the same player who recently bulldozed a Connecticut Sun forward moments after Clark took an elbow to the face. Getting tossed from the game didn't faze her. Her response? That's my teammate, and I'm going to stand up for her. But things took a sharper turn when Sophie shifted her aim inward, toward her own organization. She hinted that the negativity surrounding Clark isn't just coming from opponents. Some of it, she suggested, is rooted inside the Fever locker room itself. That comment sent shockwaves through the fanbase. Insiders are already calling her podcast episode an open challenge to anyone in the franchise who has been quietly undermining Clark's rise. The truth is, tension between longtime veterans and players who explode into stardom overnight is nothing new in sports. But in Indiana, that tension is reaching a boiling point, and Sophie Cunningham just poured gasoline on it. She's not trying to make peace. She's here to expose every piece of hidden drama and defend Clark at all costs.
Wasn't a dirty play. It was an intentional foul, and it was meant to send a message. It turned into a scuffle, and I don't think anybody wanted that. But the way that the game went and how egregious the referees were and how they were not protecting players, and they especially weren't protecting the #1 player in this league, the biggest draw in this league, which is Caitlin Clark, and they continue to not do that. To me, this was not a dirty play. This was making a statement because the referees didn't do their damn job. This would not have happened at the end of the game if the referees did their job during the first play. If the referees did their job, not just the first play, every single play leading up to that. If the referees had control of the game, that is their only job. The referees' first job, their #1 job, is to protect their players.
I get it to a certain extent, and every rookie coming into the league, that's how you're going to treat them. But there's just more.
On some level, sure, every rookie gets tested when they arrive in a professional league. Veterans want to see what you're made of. That's part of the culture. But what's happening to Caitlin Clark doesn't fall under normal initiation. It's something much more intentional, and everyone watching can see it. She's absorbing elbows, shoulders, forearms, and flat-out dangerous contact, and officials are acting like it's invisible. If this level of physicality were directed at a superstar in the NBA, someone like Stephen Curry or LeBron James, the game would stop instantly. There would be reviews, fines, suspensions, and wall-to-wall coverage. Instead, when Clark is knocked to the floor, silence. Play on. Nothing to see here. The clearest example came during the May 24th showdown between the Indiana Fever and the New York Liberty. Natasha Cloud-barreled into Clark during a critical possession, a collision so obvious the broadcast replay didn't even need slow motion. Yet the referees stared straight at the play and simply let the clock run out. Clark raised her hands in disbelief, and the Liberty celebrated the win. Sophie Cunningham didn't hesitate to call it out. She said it felt like Clark was being stepped on all over again, and she's right. This isn't rugged defense, it's targeted disruption packaged as physicality. Opponents can deny it publicly, but the pattern is unmistakable. Rough her up early, try to wear her down, and hope she breaks. But here's the truth, they're underestimating her. Clark isn't folding. And Sophie? She's ready to call out every part of this mess, on the court and behind the mic. This isn't normal league growing pains anymore. It's something much bigger.
We want to sustain the growth and the interest level in the franchise. I mean, this is about the Indiana Fever. Yes, we have a foundational player in Caitlin Clark and Leah Boston, and we're going to continue to add to that. But I want this team to be the leader in the country, and a brand, an enduring brand, like Apple or something. I mean, we have.
Behind the scenes in Indiana, the situation has escalated beyond typical on-court drama. What was once showmanship has now become real conflict. On one side, the front office executives are attempting to shape the Fever into a sleek, corporate brand, something controlled and marketable, almost like Apple. But players, fans, and even opposing coaches see the reality. Right now, the brand is built entirely around Caitlin Clark. That's when tensions hit the breaking point. After President Kelly Kroskoff decided to limit Clark's influence, things went sideways. Sophie Cunningham stepped in, and she didn't just voice disagreement. She outright confronted her own management. This wasn't a spontaneous emotional flare-up. Insiders say the podcast tirade was planned, a deliberate response following Kroskoff's speech. Sophie didn't only criticize the WNBA, she called out her own front office publicly and presented evidence. This wasn't irritation, it was rebellion. Her actions revealed a deep identity crisis within the franchise. Despite having a generational talent, the Fever are struggling to build a dynasty. Instead of supporting their star, some act as if she's a threat. Now the team is divided. Some view Caitlin as the cornerstone of the future, while others cling to authority from the past. And the truth is clear. No one here is blindly loyal. Not Sophie. Not Kroskoff. Not even the mystery of the erased former account.
What the WNBA is doing with Caitlin Clark is the equivalent of the NBA doing this to Michael Jordan in 1986. It just doesn't make sense to me. You are biting the hand that feeds you. Mind you, without...
If LeBron James were slammed to the ground after being poked in the eye, social media and sports networks would explode with outrage. Twitter would flood with reactions, clips would replay the incident endlessly, and sports commentators would analyze every detail, calling for penalties and justice. The league would likely issue statements, and the NBA would take swift action to protect its star player. But when Caitlin Clark endures relentless physicality, being pushed, fouled, and shoved, there's a stark contrast. The silence from officials, the lack of whistles, and the league's muted response reveal a troubling double standard that persists in women's basketball. Clark isn't a rookie. She's a proven superstar who has captivated fans with her talent, leadership, and fearless style of play. Her rise has brought unprecedented attention to women's basketball, packed arenas, record-breaking ratings, and a rapidly growing fan base. Despite her influence, she faces consistent physical challenges on the court, often ignored by referees and officials. Opponents target her with rough fouls, but the league's response is often absent or inadequate. She's left vulnerable, much like a bench warmer, despite her status as one of the most exciting players in the league. The unfair treatment underscores a broader issue of inequality in sports. Sophie Cunningham, a fellow player and outspoken supporter of Clark, recently condemned the league's inability to address the persistent fouling and rough play directed at Clark. Unacceptable, Cunningham said, emphasizing that the league's inaction signals a troubling disregard for the safety and respect of women athletes. Fans and social media have rallied behind Clark, demanding accountability and fair treatment. The frustration is clear. Clark's talent and star power are undeniable, yet she continues to be subjected to physicality without proper consequences. The league's silence and apparent indifference highlight a systemic problem rooted in gender bias. When male stars like LeBron or Steph Curry are fouled or face rough play, the league responds immediately, penalties are issued, and statements are made. But for Clark, the response is often delayed or non-existent. This disparity sends a damaging message about how women's sports are valued. It reflects an ongoing struggle for equality and respect within the sport, where female athletes often have to fight harder for the protections and recognition that come naturally to male counterparts. Sophie Cunningham's support underscores the need for change. She reminds us that Clark is not just the future of women's basketball, she is already making a powerful impact. Her influence is transforming the game, yet she still faces rough play and insufficient protection. This situation demands urgent attention from league officials to ensure that fairness and safety are prioritized. This controversy also highlights larger societal issues, deep-rooted gender biases that continue to shape perceptions and treatment of female athletes. If Clark were a male star, the league would likely act swiftly, imposing penalties and publicly supporting her. Instead, she's navigating a system that often turns a blind eye, risking her safety and well-being. Addressing this disparity is crucial for fostering a more equitable environment where women's sports are respected and protected. The ongoing debate is a call to action for the league, its leadership, and fans. It's about creating a culture that values fairness, respect, and safety for all athletes. Every viral clip, social media post, and voice raised in support of Clark contributes to this movement. While challenges remain, they also offer opportunities for growth and reflection. The league must adapt and evolve to meet the demands of a sport in expansion, ensuring that its stars, regardless of gender, are protected and celebrated. In conclusion, Caitlin Clark's experience shines a light on the disparities faced by women in sports. Her rise and the challenges she endures symbolize the broader fight for equality and respect. How the league responds now will influence the future of women's basketball, shaping it into a sport that truly values every player's safety and contribution. The journey is far from over, but the momentum for change is undeniable.